Hi gang, today we're going to be looking at division with decimals and with whole numbers. So the name of the game is, what am I supposed to do with my decimal point? What's different when I'm doing division with decimals versus just division with whole numbers? So let's take a look at that. And in our first example here, we're going to be looking at finding the cost of a meal. So our class has a picnic. The total cost of the picnic was $93.15. How much is each student going to have to put in to cover that cost? So the first thing we need to remember when we're doing division is, what do I call my different numbers? So the number that I'm starting out with, which is 93.15, is called my dividend. I always divide by my divisor, and the answer to a division problem is our quotient. Okay, so when we set up our problem, whatever we start with, so we start with $93.15. That always goes inside of our house. That's our dividend. And we're dividing it by our divisor of 27. So the first thing I'm going to do here is actually write out my multiples of 27. So I've got 27, 54, 81, 108, and 135. And you can use a calculator to find your multiples of non-basic fact numbers. Okay, so notice I only have a decimal point in my dividend. I don't have a decimal point in my divisor. So the only thing I have to do here is pull my decimal point straight up. So I'm going to pull my decimal point straight up, and maybe I'll do my problem in a different color. So I'm going to pull that decimal point straight up. Now I'm just going to do a normal division problem. So 27 goes into 93 three times. It's going to give me 81. Subtract, bring down my 1. 27 goes into 121 four times. That's going to give me 108. Bring down my 5. So 27 goes into 135 exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So this tells me that the final cost of each child's meal is going to be $3.45. So again, the only thing that was different here was really we had a decimal point in our dividend. We drug it straight up. Okay, now we're going to look at an example where my dividend and my divisor both have decimal points. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. So my dividend is inside my house. My divisor is on the outside. All right, so now I'm going to change colors again. When I have a decimal point in my divisor, I'm just going to try to make this a whole number. So to make this a whole number, I have to move my decimal point over 1 to the right. So what am I going to do in my dividend? I'm going to move it over 1 to the right and then pull it straight up. So my new decimal point is right here. Okay? And now again, it's just going to be a normal division problem. So 7 goes into 9 one time. That gives me 7. Now I should have 26. 7 goes into 26 three times. That gives me 21. 7 goes into 57 8 times. That gives me 56. Bring down my 4. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So my final answer should be 13 and 82 hundredths. All right. In this one, we're going to have to move our decimal point 2 times instead of 1 time. So I'm going to have 95 2/10 divided by 35 hundredths. So again, I'm going to move my decimal point over 2. So I'm going to have to move my decimal point over 2. So notice here I'm going to have to add a 0 in and then pull my decimal point up. So our multiples of 35, we'll write those over here. So we're going to have 35 70, 105, what's that going to be, 140. So 35 goes into 95 two times. Pull down my 2. Then 35 is going to go into 252 7 times, and our answer there was 245. So now I'm going to have 7, bring down my 0. 35 goes into 70 two times. So my answer should be 272. Now, how can I check to be sure that my answer is correct? I can multiply my quotient in my divisor. So 272 times 35 hundredths gives me 95 and 2 tenths. Okay, now you're going to pause your video and you're going to do 2 problems by yourself. So go ahead and pause, and then I'll be back with the correct answers. All right, so let's see how we did here. Again, 25 hundredths, I'm going to have to move my decimal point over twice. So my final answer, when you do all of your work, should be 26 and 6 tenths. And then 12 divided by 375 thousandths, our final answer is going to be a whole number of 32. Okay, so thank you for watching, and we will do some bell work problems like this tomorrow. See you then.